May 15th, 2020. While we're still playing hide and seek from the COVID, 40 states are beginning the process of reopening for the summer, leading to the most important question we face as a nation. Will Congress pass a stimulus bill for all the therapy our dogs are going to need once we start leaving the house? After 2 long years, we're back, and this time you can see us. Hang on to your diapies, babies. I'm the barber. This is the BetaFiles. Welcome to the BetaFiles. I'm the barber, and this is our first attempt at revamping an old idea I had a few years ago. We'll see how it goes. Over the next 20 or so minutes, we'll do our best to entertain you in some way and hopefully leave you with something to talk about. So let's get this going. Alexandria, Louisiana. Honolulu, Hawaii. Cheyenne, Wyoming, Concord, New Hampshire. What do they all have in common? They're the focus of this week's headlines from the Big Round Chair. Welcome to Headlines from the Big Round Chair. Our first stop this week, Alexandria, Louisiana, where LSUA held their annual pinning ceremony for nursing graduates in a parking lot on campus. The university set aside 2 parking spaces for each family as each graduate, 29 of them total, pinned themselves, breaking with tradition of having faculty do the honor in order to adhere to social distancing recommendations. The graduates, who had to complete most of their work online, were very happy to see each other after months of being alone. The university said that in addition to the nursing graduates, the school would be sending out an additional 200 plus degrees through the mail this spring. As the pandemic has forced nearly every school in the nation to go online, the business of education has continued to roll forward, as seen this week in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where the area school board held a virtual open meeting for the community to weigh in on how the board seats would be allocated. Currently, no one on the board lives in what is known as Cheyenne's South Triad District. Many in the community are pushing for a realignment of the board so the district can be represented. However, the meeting itself focused mainly on the finances of the schools of Cheyenne and skipped the proposed discussion of representation. This lit a local firestorm of complaints against the board. As of this taping, there's no word on another planned meeting to fill the concerns about representation in the area. We will keep you updated. 2 years after the last eruption of Mount Kilauea, administrators of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and the USGS are asking the public for feedback on what should be rebuilt at the site's crater. One of the proposals being put forward would be to demolish the remains of the Jagger Museum and replace it with an open-air viewing shelter over the volcanic crater. The museum was heavily damaged by the eruption and needs costly repairs, leading the 2 organizations that help manage the site to offer alternatives to rebuilding the museum. Due to the pandemic, the agencies are asking for online feedback from residents, which also includes suggestions on a new theater, visitor center, and possible expanded parking. Finally, I'm going to see if I can do this right. The McAuliffe Shepherd Discovery Center in Concord, New Hampshire has launched a series of virtual lessons for the area's children. The online interactions include lunar base and space colony simulations, planetarium shows, and other various activities. The center is also offering dozens of different experiments for the children to conduct at home with items in the house in an effort to continue to engage kids with science and STEM while the center remains temporarily closed. And even though there is no concrete date for reopening, the center is registering area children for their summer camp with the possibility that it too will be online. The center plans to prepare for both physical and virtual interaction for the summer camp, even as the possibility of a virtual camp is becoming more apparent. You can find links for all of these stories in our description underneath the video for this week. And those are the headlines for this week. Join us next time for more all local headlines from across the U.S. that's fat-free but oh so filling. This has been Headlines from the Big Round Chair.
Now it's time for Dr. J.
All right, so it is time for the optic poet, Dr. J, joining us back here on the BetaFiles. What's going on, man?
I hate my house. I just want to leave.
He's got the I guess it'd be the COVID fatigue.
Yeah. COVID fever.
Yeah, COVID fever, okay. Corona fatigue.
It's awful. And my kids, I love them. I loved them a lot more 2 months ago.
God, can you believe it's been 2 months?
It's been since when did we leave campus?
Let me pull up the calendar. It's been March 17th. Or 15th?
18th.
18th.
Wednesday, wasn't it? That's the last day we were on campus was March 18th.
Yep.
I think I went in on the 19th to get work done, and then they shut it down entirely.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah.
It's been the weirdest 2 months of my life. I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. Which I guess makes for a really bad segment, but
Oh, I'll get it out of you.
Well, I know you have opinions about this whole thing.
I do. As a good friend of mine said the other day, I'm very narcissistic, so
I've also become really self-conscious about touching my face. It's like,
And yet you just touched your face.
I can't help it, man. One of our former colleagues had posted on Facebook. She didn't realize how much she touched her face. She's like, I spend the whole day petting myself. I didn't realize. because now you're very aware of it, whereas before it's just you just did it.
Yeah.
This virus has changed everything.
It has, and it will continue to change everything. And that's kind of the point. That's the topic this week for our viewers is COVID and what it's going to change.
Well,
but so I'll throw my theory out there because you and I have talked about this several times.
Yeah.
My theory is that when this is all said and done, we're actually going to be better off as a culture because of how we've had to integrate with our technology. I think social media is going to change dramatically because of this in a positive way.
How is social media going to change?
Well, it's not going to be that little cesspool of hate. I think that's going to die down. You're still going to have people out there that are just ridiculous, right? And pushing all kinds of different alternative theories. But at the same time, I think it's going to level out because social media is being used in a lot of different pockets to help connect the communities that are trapped within their homes, if that makes sense.
I hope so.
And so it's becoming more positive than negative, although there's still a lot of negative out there.
Except when I did leave the house and I did go to the grocery store, that was an actually kind of a terrifying experience.
Yeah.
Because I'm surrounded by people and it's hard to social distance in an area like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're talking about changes to social media, I think another change would be how we approach each other in public.
Yeah.
And what is that going to do to sports events when we finally are allowed to go back? Are they going to sell out like they used to? And I don't think they are.
I don't think so either.
You recently wrote about something else about
the education, how it's going to change education.
I don't think you're wrong. I think you're probably right about it.
Well, I think what the pandemic has done is exposed how we have approached online classes previously, and because the face-to-face teachers are coming in and changing everything to suit their face-to-face environment, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see online courses, the online presence of a course shifting to where it's a supplement and not the primary delivery agent, if that makes sense.
For a face-to-face class.
Yeah. For any of them. For any of them. I think online, the old model of online classes, I think, is going to slowly go away because face-to-face teachers have come in and they've had to do so much. They've had to do things in ways that they understand them that the online community before them did not understand, if that makes sense.
Makes sense, especially with someone like you who did something that would be widely regarded as unorthodox and in some cases ineffective. And that's giving those lectures, which I like and other face-to-face teachers like. But if you talk to people who teach online, they don't do lengthy lectures.
Yeah.
But that's what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, until this year, I had never taught online before until this past 2 months.
Well, me either.
And I began by doing those brief 20, 30-minute lectures because that's the only thing I know how to do. It took me a while to get past that and just start putting up content and allowing them to read. I did not like it.
Yeah.
I only did it to save my sanity because I watched you recording all these lectures. That's all you did. Yeah. But it's the way you think.
Well, that and the live streaming thing was fun too, because one of the problems, and a lot of Jupiter actually had a Zoom style meeting with her teacher in her class yesterday. Besides the technical problems, not everybody is comfortable getting in front of a camera.
No.
So what I did was I went on YouTube and did a live stream of a couple of the lectures so they could chat with me, because you have the online chat over to the right of the screen, so they could ask me questions, but the only one who's actually videoing is me. So I'm the only face. And that made them a lot more comfortable. They're not, they don't have the anxiety of having to set that up and getting it. All they got to do is go into YouTube, click on my live stream and chat with me. You know, so it's, and I know the big problem, I think the other thing that's going to come out of this pandemic across the board is I think trust in people is going to go up because we've been forced to. One of the questions I got from somebody else the other day who's not in education was, well, how do you know they're doing the work? And the answer is I don't, but when I'm face to face with them, I don't know that they're doing the work. It hasn't changed. If they're not going to do the work, they're not going to do the work, and the grade is going to reflect that.
Yep.
Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is if you're not doing the work, you're going to get a poor grade.
I don't know. I hope you're right. I hope the changes are good.
I'm an optimist.
Well, you are. No. I'm not.
You give me a pile of crap, and I'm going to look at you and say it could have been bigger.
Well, or you can say, look, fertilizer.
Yeah.
What can we grow from this?
Yeah.
One of my concerns, because I'm not an optimist, one of my concerns is because I told you before we started this that the High Point Transit Authority is in order to ride the bus, masks are mandatory.
Yeah.
That places like A&T and Guilford Tech are going to move in that direction.
Well, it's in the email. The email that we got this morning from Clark says we're going to have to wear masks, and they will provide them if you don't have one.
It's encouraged right now, but I think when we come back in the fall, it'll be mandatory.
Yeah.
Question of, are we going to have classes? And this is something I think a lot of universities are going to face. Are they going to start thinking, let's have fewer students in the classroom? Let's cap the class at 15.
Yeah, I wonder. I've been wondering about that too, if we're going to start to see caps, especially in the next semester or two.
We need lower caps anyway, but this kind of thing, if you lower the cap to 15 to 20 students, it's going to change the classroom in a beneficial way.
Yeah.
Because 25 students is too much. It's too many people in one classroom, especially when that class is a writing class or a skills class. 15 to 20 students, no more than that. So I think what happens in the room is going to be different. I think the masks, something as simple as masks, are going to change the way we talk to each other. And then the class size.
Right.
We'll see. It depends on what phase we're in by the time we get to August. But I'm assuming we'll be back in the classroom by August.
The way it's looking, we will be.
I enjoy getting up in the morning, going into work, doing my thing, walking into a classroom, hanging out in the office, talking to people, working, grading, all from work. I
miss my office.
I enjoy it. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. No kidding. I think I've got a couple of Tupperware containers that have food in them there. Because I wasn't able to come back to get them.
And it's going to be positive. We're going to, as I noted in the thing that I wrote, the revolution is long overdue, and I think we're going to see the revolution out of necessity.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Ken Robinson was, and that was the whole point of the whole point of my argument in that article was Ken Robinson threw up the red flag in 2006 and said creativity is being killed. We need to bring creativity back. And this pandemic has forced us to re-engage with creative practices. And I think the humanities are going to benefit the most out of this pandemic because the other disciplines are going to realize how important creative thinking and critical engagement is to all the disciplines. Because the thing about the internet is you have one tone and that's it. And you've got to create a way for students to figure out what that tone is.
Yep.
And that's where the face-to-face teachers are revolutionizing how we engage online. Not that the old model was bad. The old model worked. But I think we're going to see a lot more success and a lot more human engagement in an online setting because of the face-to-face teachers being forced into the online realm. All right, I gotta let you go because I'm running out of disk space, and I gotta cut this down so I can get it off my disk.
Well, enjoy.
Yep. So this has been Dr. J for this week. We'll do it again next week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right.
See you, man.
Talk to you later. The topic? Fake news, socialist melodrama, or evangelical playbook? The answer tonight on Now See This Here Now Then. Hello, I'm Richard Cranium. This is Now See This Here Now Then. On this episode, fake news and the erosion of the American IQ. We will take a deep dive into the world of make-believe and examine how the news media, social media, print media, broadcast media, medio noche, and medio dia all create twists to gain partisan favor in a broad audience. But first, a word from our sponsor. The dictionary. Words, those things that fall out of your mouth. Well, we've caught them and we've collected them in a book. So, if you're an idiot and don't know a word, look it up in the dictionary. Fake news. It's the news that reeks of frivolous imagination, concocted facts, and biased ideas of extremists angling to dupe you into believing an argument only your pervy uncle would defend. Stage pieces built with Photoshop, creative editing, and corroboration from a corporate entity with a bottom line and a sexual harassment budget. Observe Exhibit A.
I'm gonna ride this one out
obviously that hurricane is an actor. The real issue that drips from that clip like a dying Keurig is the fact that we tune in to watch it, to see if the hurricane, named after an ex-girlfriend someone is still butthurt over, will kill the teeny man in the overpriced raincoat. The 24-hour news cycle churns in both directions as ratings drive the news cycle. Flash over substance is the trend of the day. Banners on the top and bottom of an already crowded screen confuse and frustrate grandmothers everywhere. Interviews are conducted in new triple vision cinemascope to simply reinforce core beliefs that divide dinner tables and the holidays. It's like a drug with the side effects that include diarrhea, mild headaches, rashes, blisters on the inside of your eyelids, and polio of the left pinky. Call your doctor before using if you're pregnant, drunk, or getting pregnant while you're drunk. But flashy 24-hour news channels are not the only places that harbor these narratives of ignorant blissiness. Observe Exhibit B.
200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball by Eric Dubay. 1. The horizon always appears perfectly flat 360 degrees around the observer regardless of altitude. All amateur balloon, rocket, plane, and drone footage show a completely flat horizon over 20+ miles high. Only NASA and other government space agencies show curvature in their fake CGI photos and videos.
Whatever that young man is smoking, I want some of it. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all synonyms for the word stupid. Sure, there are some quality programs on YouTube, like a young channel trying to make videos to turn views into subscribers. But for the most part, these platforms have opened a floodgate of ripe opportunities to anyone with an internet connection and an iPhone to vomit insane postulations that upset the natural order of a typical 7th grade science book. Conspiracy theories blend with real facts to become narratives at the water cooler, while real, worthwhile news is left to the side and treated as if it were as illegitimate as my half-brother. Sorry, Peter. Both sides of the political divide use the same tactics to gain electorate favor, while never giving credence to the damage their blatant misuse of the public's fears and anger may actually have. It reminds me of something my wife Bacon told me the other day when she said, "For God's sake, Richard, put your clothes on. I only want to see you naked in the dark." That woman lights a fire in my pelvis. Nonetheless, as a culture, we are bombarded every day with what we assume to be truth, only to find out it is nothing more than ratings grabs and clickbait that twist any narrative into a steaming pile of poo. From social media to cable news channels, fake news lies beneath the soothing sounds of voices we want to connect to. Cable news offers loud, angry white men and half-drunk ex-pageant queens, while social media hides behind the sounds of low-wage conservative southern accents and gender-neutral, effeminate liberal rage. But if cable news and social media are all bastions of fake news, where's the real news? That answer is very easy to find. It's outside your front door. Community. The place where you live, the town you call home, the teen pregnancy that actually affects you. Sorry, Brittany. Most of the nationally broadcast news we ingest, like a family-sized bag of Doritos, has little to do with our local culture. The reason why those pieces on your local channel about some bratty 8-year-old selling lemonade for Firehouse 415 matters is because she lives next door. The firehouse covers your block. Instead of wasting time on which CNN anchor faked his COVID recovery, or if a pandemic is the concoction of a political party, focus on what is happening down your street. Like the plant that just closed, the restaurant that just opened the second location, and the brothel your friend Ed was secretly running out of his garage. Thank you, Ed. That news isn't fake, as you can easily verify and trust it. That is what matters. Truth. Something the elite news organizations of the Northeast care little about, but local news channels are forced to engage with as you know where they live. Even though the weatherman carries the burden of good and bad climate, The sportscaster is clearly drunk every night at 11, and the co-anchor acts like she is Mariah Carey on New Year's Eve. Those personas of desperation feed you what is happening near you. That is how the cookie really crumbles. That is all for tonight. Next time on Now See This Here Now Then, we look at cheerleaders, socialist props, or evangelical spirit squad. You decide. Until then, I'm Richard Cranium. Ta-ta. That's all for this week's show. Join us next week for the premiere of The Two Bryans, another Now See This Here Now Then with Richard Cranium, and the continuing saga of the optic poet, Dr. J. If you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications of when we post new videos. You can also head over to thebetafiles.com, where we post both our YouTube content and written content for some light reading. For Dr. J and Mr. Cranium, I am the barber. Make it a great day, and always remember that if the sun comes up, there's opportunity. So take it. This is the Beta Files.